Alright, we're on lesson 7. This is it, the last lesson of Unit 1, Topic 1. It's going to start off with some inequalities, which we're going to start in the next topic. Inequalities is what we do with next. So we've got 4 is less than 6. Well, that's obvious. That's true. If I add 4 to both sides, what would the result be? So 4 plus 4 would be 8, is less than 6 plus 4 makes 10. And that is still a true statement. Absolutely. 8 is still less than 10. What about if we subtract 4 from both sides? This would be 0, and this side would be 2. That is also still a true statement, which shouldn't, surprise you, because the addition property of equality states if you do the same thing on both sides, it's not changing the value at all. Same thing with addition of property. I know I pointed here. That was subtraction property, and this is addition property of equality. What if I subtract 10 from both sides? That's still going to be true. Multiply both by 4, that would be 16. That would be 24. 16 is still less than 24. That's still true. What if I divide both sides by 2? That would give this 2, and this would be a 3. 2 is still less than 3. All right, so far it's been true, 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 true. All right, kind of boring so far. Where's the false is going to come? Oh, there it is. It's an F and G. What if I multiply both sides by negative 3? This becomes negative 12 is less than... Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. So you ask yourself, is negative 12 less than negative 18? Why? No, it's not. So what happened here? Why is this a false statement? Well, you might have learned last year that if you multiply or divide by a negative, you must flip the sign. Because as you can see, it doesn't change anything unless you're multiplying or dividing by a negative. Divide both sides by negative 2. This divided by negative 2 is negative 2, and 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Is that a true statement? No, it's not again. Negative 2 is actually greater than negative 3 because it's further to the right if you think about a number line. So this is also false. So as I had mentioned just a second ago, if you multiply or divide, that's what we just figured out, that you must flip the sign. So negative 2 would have been greater than negative 3. All right, so that'll help us out when we're solving equations later on, especially in the next topic. All right, so this lesson, I know I did this with you in class, and this is about one variable, and this is 2 variables, and it's basically the exact same. You would do the exact same steps in order to solve the equation. Oh, it is so weird looking at myself over here. You know what? I'm going to move this over here. Every time I look at it, I'm wondering, like, am I still in the frame? Oh, there I am. All right, still in the frame. You can see the back of my library room, sort of. This is my computer room. All right, so this will be multiply by 5 and then subtract 2 and then divide by 3. So this will take 3 steps. Same thing over here, same 3 steps. But the difference over here is you're not going to get an answer. Over here, the answer, I believe, is like 11. 35 minus 2 is 33 divided by 3 is, yep, that's it, x equals 11. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to be left with a big expression like 35 minus 2y divided by 3. That ends up being the answer over here. Yes, I know I've been doing this too long. I can do all that in my head. All right, so I'm going to skip past all this because, yeah, we did that in class. So this becomes more important again. So now we have, let's move this down just a little bit. I bet you didn't know I can move that, did you? In fact, I can make this half screen. Ooh, that's too much me. Make that small again. All right, so I'm trying to solve, ooh, what did the directions say? Because I'm trying to think, I'm trying to still solve for x. All right, so if I want to solve for x, I got to get rid of this minus d, so that's add d to both sides. This is going to take a lot of steps. Hope you're ready for this. That's going to give me ax plus b over c equals e plus d. All right, I told you this is going to take a lot of steps. Then the next thing I need to do is multiply both sides by c. But you have to multiply everything over here by c, so that's going to give me ax plus b equals EC plus DC, because I had to multiply everything in the inside by the outside. That's distributive property. So we've done addition property of equality, multiplication property of equality, distributive property over here. Whoa, we're not even halfway done. I got to then do subtraction property of equality. All right, things are getting a little crazy here. So that means AX equals EC plus DC minus B. Whew, almost done, though. Now I got to divide everything by A. All right, cross that out, and there's your answer right there. I'm just going to sort it because I kind of ran out of room. Look at that. That is the answer. X is equal to EC plus DC minus B divided by A. That's not the only way it could be written. That's just the way I ended up doing it. And I told you my justifications. I told you everything I did as I did it. All right, so let's get to that homework. Ah, great. It's kind of like what I just showed you a second ago, only this time it says we're solving for M. There it is. That looks familiar. Oh, you know what? That's y equals mx plus b. That is the equation for linear equations. That is the standard format. That's called slope-intercept form. Something you'll actually see a lot. Y equals mx plus b. Trying to solve for m. So the first thing I got to get rid of is the b. Got to get rid of add or subtract before multiply or divide. That gives me y minus b equals m times x. Divide both sides by m? No, why would I do that? Because I'm trying to solve for m. I'm going to divide both sides by x. Get m by itself. These cancel out, so that means the answer is m equals y minus b divided by x. There's my answer. All right, let's take a look over here. Oh, this time, same thing. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And this time I'm trying to solve for x. There it is, right there. I'll do the same first step. That's subtraction property of equality. Y minus b equals m times x. But this time I'm not going to divide by m. This time I'm going to divide by... Oh, yes I am. I'm going to divide by m. This time I'm dividing by m because this time I'm trying to get x by itself. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to both. That's the division property of equality. And I'm left with my answer. X equals y minus b divided by m. And you're probably noticing that the answers look very similar. Matter of fact, they look exactly the same, only the m and the x have been switched places. Yep. All right, so that's a look into literal equations with a real equation that we're going to spend a lot of time with here coming up. All right, so we're done now. So we're ready for the next test. Actually, next test, I'm sorry, first test. Your first test is going to be next week, and I'm sure you'll get more details in class. Please make sure the entire packet is done. Remember, you have to do both the warm-ups and the homework for each day. Otherwise, you will not receive credit for that day. All right, take care. See you later.